Hi chums, I was talking to my friend Joan today about milling pen blanks, and I reckoned it was easier to show what I do than explain, because I can complicate everything, but this is what I've found the most successful way for me so far. Now, just for those people who have never made a pen, when you're making a pen, you get a blank, you drill a hole, and then you put a brass tube inside it. That's where all the fittings go on the pen, okay? So that's your skeleton inside the pen, alright? Now, whenever it comes to the bit where the pen has dried, like this one, oh, sorry, that's wrong, that's not. Where's one? There. This one here, right? I did these a couple of hours ago, made up a few blanks, and then you have to try and get rid of this extra wood, because you can see you can't see the blank, you can't see the brass tube in that. So what we use is a pen mill, and that's what a pen mill looks like. It's just basically 4 little cutters and a mandrel that goes up the inside with a wee groove in the front that takes out any dirt and glues on the inside. And what you do is you put that inside there and you run your drill. Okay, now I haven't got this engaged because this is a cutter I don't use, but what I did was I did a wee bit of cutting with it to let you see the effect it has. It leaves a circle, and the theory is that this will cut, those blades will cut down to the brass tube and leave the tube sitting lovely and flush with the wood. Now, there's a problem here, and I'll show you what it is. If you see in here, this thing runs in and out because this cutter is used for several different mandrels. So this is not an absolutely perfect fit. So there's a wee bit of slop in that. And what it means is that where the brass tube, where's your brass tube? There's one there. This is inside the pen, okay? Just get it on there. Where that brass tube goes down to the cutter, you can see where now, you can maybe see where it's actually engaged between the cutters now. It's actually caught in between the cutters. So whenever you cut your pen blank, when you mill the end, you have about 1 millimeter of brass tube sticking out, which will ruin your pen. It'll mean that all the fittings don't go together properly, there'll be wee gaps. So the problem only happens with this particular one, because if you look at the bigger mandrels, if we take this one out and put in a mandrel for one of the big pens, like a Baron, well, it goes into the same thing, the cutters are in the same position, but when you put the brass tube in, it says this is inside a blank, but you can see that it sits on the top of the blades. So the blades are actually cutting the brass tube as well. So whenever you go through the wood, they'll cut the end of the brass tube and leave it nice and bright and square with the wood. So in this situation, it works well, but it doesn't work for 7 millimeter pens, the slim lines that we all make, because of the fact that this is a compromise. It's to do an awful lot of different jobs, this one mill. So instead of actually making one where the blades come right up to against the shaft of the mill, they make one where all different ones fit in, and then you get the best of a bad deal, or the best of what they can do, So the only one it happens with is a 7 mil. So what I do then is instead, when I'm doing these, I do them a different way, which I'll show you now. Okay. I'm going to move everything over here in a minute. So what I use is this, and it's a block of aluminium, and it's just got a wee clamp at the end of it, and into that you put a 7 mil mandrel. So that's the size. I think it's 6.9 or something. It goes up the inside of the brass tube, and then you set your length because you want it shorter than your brass tube, or longer than your brass tube. So we set it about that length there. So that you set it less than your brass tube because you want the brass tube to be cut. So set it about there and just lock it down. Now, this then goes up against the side of the fence for the sander. Now I know that this is 100% square because I keep checking it this way and that way. So I know it's square both ways. Now, the reason you can't just take that and put it up against that and square it, okay, or even against the fence, is because if you look at that, that's not, those sides aren't parallel. So you're in effect holding the thing at an angle to the fence, so you'll get a nice square end, but the problem will be that your tube will be sitting like that inside your blank. It'll be at an angle inside your blank, and then your pen won't go together properly. So this is why we use this thing, because this means that whenever this goes on, that squares that against the fence, against the bottom and the fence and the thing. So it means that we know then that the tube is square to the sander, not the wood. It's a brass tube that you want square to the sanding surface. So when we get it cut, we know that the end of your tube is square, and that means that your kit will go together properly. Now the only kit where this has been a big issue for me was doing Sierra pens. I was doing them the old way, and I discovered the pens weren't going together properly. When I got them together, but they wouldn't operate properly, and I discovered they weren't square at the end. So what I did then was, because that wee millimetre of brass sticking out, so then I started using this method, and I've never had a problem since. I've actually used another method, but this is better. So just turn the thing on. Now I do this. I have the sander coming up the way, because if you go over here and go down, it'll slam this into the table if it gets caught. So it's safer to do it up here and start in the middle where it's not just going so fast. So there you are, perfectly milled, and it's perfectly flat right across, and there's no wee lip where the, what do you call it? There's no wee lip where the mill has cut into the brass and or cut down the sides of the brass tube. So that's perfect. And then just do the other side. Make sure you haven't taken too much off, and the other side just exactly the same. I'll just stop. You know why? I'm actually burning the wood. I need to put a new piece of sandpaper in that there. That's only about a year old, that piece, you know. So rather than just cause a whole lot of smoke and burning, I'll leave it. But you get the idea. So that's what I do. So it's that way, that little thing there, Joan, that you need if you're going to do it this way. Or if you can get some way that you can get a perfectly square against your fence, if you get somebody to make one of these or something, if you know an engineer. But they're, I don't know, they're about 35 quid, about 35 quid delivered or 40 quid delivered. I think you get them from Turner's Retreat. If you want, I'll send you the link to them. Okay, that's about it then. Any questions, just give me a shout in the comments and I'll answer them. Alright, and Joan, I'll see you tomorrow, so you can ask me. Alright, all the best now. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.